Shalom Aleichem. It's good to see you. Here we are, back in Eretz Yisrael, and each year I end up having a conversation with at least one person about the rain. And the reason is because in Eretz Yisrael, in Israel, we changed the part of the prayer. We start davening, we say, Mashiva Rochem Rida Gashem, that we remember the wind and the rain, and then that's right away already from Simchas Torah. And then on the seventh day of Cheshvan, which was only a few weeks ago, so then we start davening for the rain. So people say to me each year, this prayer for the rain is really not so, it's not so relevant anymore. We don't really, nowadays we have the desalination plants have gone online, and they talked about, if necessary, you can always drag an iceberg down from Turkey, and we have all the technology, so it's not as important as it was. And I always explain why, how important it is, how rain is water is life to the world in so many different ways, as well as the expression, as we see in the Chumash, whenever it refers to Hashem's pleasure with the Jewish people and with the world, it's always the giving of the rain. At any rate, we saw this year, recently, a few days ago, in Israel, there were 3-4 days of very, very widespread, intense fires throughout the country. A quarter of the population of Haifa had to be evacuated because the fires were lit and spread. Why they spread so rapidly and so dangerously and so quickly throughout the country? Because it's the end of the dry season in Israel, of the summer. It has not started to rain yet, and then the wind sometimes switches from the west, the prevailing wind, to the east, which is called a sharav or a chamsin. So we had the chamsin, which is a very, very dry desert wind, and they're very, very powerful, and no rain. Everything was extremely dry, and fire, just as they say, spread like wildfire. And it did, and there were fires throughout the country. And so the first thing I wanted to point out is that Baruch Hashem, again, we see the hand of Hashem. We see again all these fires that were throughout the country, and all the firefighting, which was done with airplanes and with trucks, and nobody was killed. It was a clear miracle. And then beyond that, again we see Hashem saying to us, with all the desalination, with all the water, with all that we have, once again it was clear as day. Hashem said, Shalom, hello, peekaboo, it's me, Hashem again. Without rain, the whole ground becomes so dry that if there's just a wind, everything can just go up in fire. And Israel was required to have usage of airplanes, firefighting airplanes from Greece, Cyprus, Egypt. The United States sent the super tanker from all over the world. We had to get all this help in order to fight the fires. So as this time comes, we know that the Chafetz Chaim. We'll close with this. The Chafetz Chaim of blessed memory. He was a great sage from Europe, from the last generation. And the Chafetz Chaim said, "There are no more prophets. How are we supposed to get the messages to the Jewish people from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from Hashem? There's no more prophets as there used to be, and no more prophecy or Ruach HaKodesh." So he said that Hashem speaks to us. How does Hashem speak to us? Through the creation. So everything that happens, especially when it's dramatic and especially when it affects so many people, such as earthquakes, such as fires, such as winds, and there are verses that say that Hashem will speak to us through the fires, through the winds, and so clearly we have this message. In the 17th century, 18th century Italy, the Pope decreed the burning of the Talmud, which at the time there were very few printed copies in the world, and the Ramchal of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto explained that the reason was that the Jews had slackened, we had let go of our immersion in toiling in Torah, and we're looking instead for the good life, and as a result, this is what happened. There's much to be said about that, but instead let's close on a positive note. Right this moment in Eretz Yisrael, it's just about Rosh Chodesh Kislev. In another few minutes, it will be the new month, the new moon of Kislev, which is the month, of course, of Hanukkah. And so Hanukkah is a time when we light the lights. In fact, it was the lights of Hanukkah is the spiritual light that has shined through thousands of years of the darkness of exile to the Jewish people. So Am Yirtzeh Hashem, the recent danger and tragedy of people's homes being burnt up in the fires that were here recently. In Yirtzeh Hashem, we will have the rainfall that we're praying for, and we will have Hanukkah, where the light will be not the light of heat and destruction, but the light of seeing and understanding and the illumination of Torah, and we will all celebrate together with the simcha of all the Jewish people coming home together again.